Okay, so this is a personal video. It's not about sports, man. This is I normally don't do these, man, but I just felt like I wanted to get something off my chest and see if anybody else has had the experience that I've had. But I recently went to a car dealership to get a new car. My car, Ford Focus, is a Ford Focus '03. ZTS is running a code of P0171, so it's running lean, and it's gotten worse over the months. I've gone to a mechanic, a few mechanics, and they've said basically that it's going to cost me 600 and some change to replace the part, due to the fact that the part is aftermarket and they have to replace the whole I guess harness or whatever the hose is connected to. The hose has a hole in it, um, I believe, and because when I took it to the mechanic taped it up for me, and I ended up passing the inspection, um, and all of that good stuff. So since then, I haven't had any luck really getting that thing fixed because I don't want to pay 600, almost $700 to get it fixed, due to the fact that the car is about 14 years old. Um, I've been driving it for quite some time. It has some real issues to the car, as far as this is the first major issue that I've had with this car since I've had it. Just so you guys know, all of the sayings about Ford is not true. I've had that car all the way up until this point, and it hasn't given me any real trouble up until this point. So um, anyway, um, but that's what I was told, that I would have to replace the entire, I guess, harness or hookup, to where the hose goes to. I would have to replace that whole thing. And I can kind of understand, because you don't want to just go out and buy a hose for $6 or so, put it on, and then the car has other issues that haven't really been looked into. So when they hook up the car to diagnostics, is going to cost me an additional. This is why I say it's $700, because it's going to cost me an additional $100 and $119 fee, just so they can hook it up to the diagnostics. So, and parts and labor and all of that good stuff is going to run me 600 and some change. So it's truly almost $800 just to get this done. So I'm like, well, I mean, I'm in the market to get a new car anyway, so why am I going to put, anywhere from $600 to $800 into this car? So I recently went over to a car lot. Good friend of mine works at the car lot, and he's one of the top salesmen there. Told me basically, hey man, why don't you come down and check us out? We got some good stuff on the lot, got some used stuff that you might like. I know you into Japanese models. We got some Acuras, we got some Nissans on the lot. We got some other stuff on the lot too, some Toyotas. Come on down, check us out. So I went over, checked it out. I didn't really like what he had on the lot. I saw the Nissan Maxima 2013. My wife and I, we checked it out. She ended up seeing the bumper was kind of loose in the front. And when you walk up to the bumper, all the way up on it, and you look down, you can see light going through the bumper. So from right then and there, she said, no, this car has been in an accident, so I'm like, yeah, that's true. There's no reason. And then when you look closely, you can see where they use like a clear glue or something like that to hold that bumper up. So, I mean, it was a nice looking ride at first. And then once you go on the inside, it was all leather, it was nice. And it was 69,000 miles on that car. So I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm just coming from a car that I've had for 14 years, and you know, it only has 147,000 miles on it. So, because I haven't driven that car anywhere, man. I don't go out of town with that car or anything like that. So I'm gonna try to make a long story short, because it's a pretty long story. But I checked out a few other cars he had on the lot. Checked out a couple of Toyota Camrys he had. Those were between, I think, 12 and 2013, 2014, I think. Yeah. Most of the cars they had on the lot, no warranty on them, high mileage. So I was passed over to one of his other salesmen because he was busy. When I went down there, he was real busy, and he told me, hey, we're going to go ahead and pass you over to another one of the salesmen. He's pretty good. I got 3 or 4 customers, you know, ahead of you, and I'll get with you as soon as I can. So I said, okay. My wife and I, we went out on the lot. We checked out a couple of cars with the other salesman. I didn't really like what he was showing me. I saw a Kia that I liked. I forget the exact, I know it was an Optima, but I forget the exact make, model, you know, the model of it. I forget that. It was nice though. It was fully loaded, but it was a 2013. It was I think it was at probably almost it was at like 80,000 miles or something like that. It was nice though. But they had already had it. They had my guy had already sold it. I had went to the lot previously the day before the day that we went down, and I had looked at that one and I wanted that one, but when I got down to the lot the next day, he had already had it ready to go, like somebody had already purchased it, you know. So I'm like, dang, what am I gonna get? So this kid, you know, he walks me around the lot and he shows me a Chevy. What's the name of that thing? I forget the name of that car, but it was corny. You know, it's too small. Showed me a few Fords. I'm not, you know, of course, I'm not going to be interested in Ford. I've had one for 14 years. So he showed me a Fusion, a couple of Fusions. Showed me a Jetta, Volkswagen, and I know about the maintenance fees on that. So I was just kind of like, man, you know, they don't really have anything. And she was irritated. She didn't really want to be going from lot to lot. I had my brother's approval to use him as a co-signer because my credit is not all that great. So we go down there and he shows me a Chrysler 200. It was the limited version of the Chrysler 200, and it was a 2014. They had 13 marked on there, but I know that it was a 14 because I did the research on the car, and it didn't have some of the specs and some of the other you know, bells and whistles that the 13 didn't have. Doesn't have the bells and whistles that the 14 has. So that car was actually a 14, but they had it marked as a 13, and it said on the paperwork that it was as is, and it didn't have a warranty. So I should have picked up that it was, you know, it was some game going on, you know, at that point. But, you know, I didn't pick up on it. We test drove the Chrysler. It was nice, man. I mean, it only had 33,000 miles on it. It was practically new. Only had 2 owners. I mean, it was fresh, man. Everything about it was fresh. And I don't even like American cars like that. So I'm like, well, you know what? You know, I asked my wife, do you like it? She said yes. So we went ahead and got ready to start the paperwork. And, you know, everything these days is online. So I was told to, you know, get the check stubs, bring your check stubs in, bring in a bill with your name on it and your ID and all of that good stuff. And we'll go ahead and go from there. So my guy was basically letting me know, hey, you don't need to bring in your brother. You know, you can get this done on your own. You don't need a co-signer. So I went ahead and filled out the paperwork, and we ended up having a discussion about everything. Um, Actually, I didn't fill out the paperwork. I was trying to get my stuff printed out from my job and all of that good stuff, and I couldn't. I was locked out. So the salesman that was helping us, he told me, "Hey, don't worry about it. Let me go and talk to my boss and see what we can do." So he came back and he said, "Well, look, since you can't get in and get your check stubs, just make sure that you give us a pay state, not a pay statement, but a bank statement. Give us a bank statement, and maybe you can print out your a bill from your phone company." So that's what we ended up doing. We got all of that stuff printed out, and they took my bank statements and my bill from T-Mobile, and they did whatever they did. The guy came back and said, "Well, we're seeing if you're going to get approved right now. Give us a minute." So he came back in. He said, "Guess what, man? You're approved. We're going to go ahead and start the paperwork." So they started the paperwork. They ran my credit, and I guess he came back and wasn't really satisfied with the credit. So he was just going, well, well, not with the credit, but he checked, how much I made. And I told him how much I made, and they were saying, well, could you work overtime on your job, or do you work overtime? And I told him, yeah, I work OT, but it's not guaranteed OT, but I can do it, given the fact that we're short a lot of positions right now. But that's something that I could do, but it's not a guarantee. So he said, well, is that something you can do immediately, or do you have a check showing where you've worked overtime? And I said, yeah. If I can get the statements, once I get to work, then I'll bring them back. And he said, all right, well, you know what? When you get to work, go ahead and email me that stuff, and we'll go from there. But as of now, he just basically said you're approved. So they brought in the paperwork. I told him that I only wanted to drop $1,000 down plus the trade in of the car, my car. And they gave me $700 for the car, by the way. And I dropped $500 that day, and they told me, well, it would be cool if just go ahead and drop $500 today, and then on the next paycheck, if on the next paycheck, drop $750. So that would have been $1,250, right? So I said, all right. Plus the $700 that they gave me for the car, it only went towards the principal of the car. It didn't go towards the trade-in. So they didn't really do me any favors there. But I dropped $500 that day, and got the paperwork signed. And they told me, I told them that I only wanted to do $300 to $350 payments. I didn't want to go over that. So he, got it down to about $374. That's what he said. That's the best we can do. Plus with the gap insurance, that kicked in to about $381 a month, for that car. So I said, all right, I can do that, even though it might hurt a little bit, but I can ask for some OT here and there and see what we can do. So I was like, all right, man, congratulations. So, I took the car for a couple of days, not even really a couple of days, for a day or so. And I got a call, from my guy. He goes, hey, actually, no, I take that back. I sent him the stubs the next day. I sent him the stubs because he wanted it on that Monday, so we ended up going on I think on a Friday. I had the car on that Saturday. I sent them in on Sunday because I went back to work. I sent in the stubs through his email. So he said, congratulations again. Thank you. I asked him, did he need anything else? He said no. So I drove the car again for a day. I get a call back from my friend, and he goes, hey, man, the bank is saying that you're going to need a co-signer. The bank is saying that you don't make enough money. We checked your stubs. And mind you, I had already signed the contract, everything, and he's telling me basically I got to come in. Let's see what we can work out. So I said, all right, I'll bring it in. I'll go in tomorrow. So I went in the next day, sat down. Actually, it was a few days before, a few days after. I went in on a Thursday. Um, so uh, I was irritated for 2 days. So I went in. Let me see. I emailed him on that Sunday. I went to work Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, so I had the car and for a couple of days, and he called, and then I was off on that Wednesday. So yeah, I went in on a Thursday, and the guy, my friend, was like, "Hey man, can you get a cosigner?" I'm like, "Well, I thought we didn't need one." Well, it's either that or you can your brother, call your brother, man, and see what he could do. Like, my brother is on board with everything, but he was like, well, it's either that or can you afford to drop another 750 today? I'm like, 750 today? I'm like, man, I'm getting ready to give you guys 750 on the next paycheck. So mind you, that's 1250. So they asking for an additional 750. So I'm like, nah, man. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not giving you guys any more. You know what I make on my job. I'm not paying you guys any more money, man. So he goes, all right, well, let's call your brother. So I got my brother involved, and, his credit is up there in the sevens. So my brother was like, man, get what you want. Don't worry about it. So they ran his information. He's retired Army, everything. Makes way more money than I do. And he's doing well. Him and his wife both retired, so they told him he has too many open, how do they say it? He has too many auto openings on his credit, so the bank didn't want to approve him. They had already told me that, given the fact that he was out of town, they didn't really want to do business with him, when they had already previously told me that it was cool for him to sign the paperwork, and they would fax it over to him for him to sign, and then he could fax it. But it was just discrepancies with that. So he was saying, well, if we can't fax it to your brother, then we'll go ahead and FedEx it. So they had many options that they could have ran, to give to my brother, but they were saying that he was out of town. They flipped the script and said, well, if he was in town, it would be easier for us to conduct business. The bank doesn't really want to go with him because he has 4 other open, I forget what they call it, 4 other open accounts, where he had cars and stuff, on his credit. So they were saying that, they couldn't use him. And I'm like, why not? Why wouldn't you be able to use him? I'm the one that's going to be paying the note on the car. I'm paying the note. So all I need all I need you guys to check is that his credit is good to go, and I can qualify to get this car. He's not going to be paying the note. I am, so they go, well, the bank wants to knock it down, from the 381 to, they want to put you in something that's 320 a month. I was like, well, I had already told you guys that I didn't want to pay any more than 350 in the first place. So it's like, well, yeah, man, we're not going to be able to, to give you the car, due to the fact that, it's going to be too expensive for you to handle. And plus, my boss, he put a lot of money into that car when he got it from the auction, and he just doesn't want to let it go, for the amount that you're paying, and I'm just like, well, what is the car worth? He never did want to tell me what the car was worth, but we ended up checking the contract, and the bank had already approved the car, at 14,000, so they they did some shady business, man, when I went down there. And I ended up just giving them the car back because I told them I wasn't willing to pay $750, extra $750, putting down $2,000, on the car. And the notes weren't going to be knocked down. It was still going to be at 381. So I was just really, really pissed, man. Extremely pissed, and now I'm without a new car. My old car is giving me problems, and I'm trying to come up with the next best thing, man. But anyway, you guys let me know what you think about this story, man, because I mean, either I don't know what I'm doing, I'm dumb, these guys were trying to shice me. I could have kept the car because I had already signed a contract. Um, I mean, so much stuff went into that, man. I mean, I could go into extra details about everything, and I'm still going through a little drama with them right now. They haven't reimbursed my $500 back, so I'm in the process of getting that back right now as we speak. But what do you guys think, man? Hit me up. Let me know what you think. Have you experienced that? Have you had a better experience somewhere else? I'm in Georgia, by the way, ATL. So, I mean, if you know somebody, man, that's working some good deals, that's not a shyster, let me know. Peace.